So ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, introduce Lieutenant General Karsten Heckl, Commanding General of Marine Corps Combat Development Command and Deputy Commandant for Combat Development and Integration.
How's everybody doing? Right? Yeah, leave it to the frog guy to get up here and break something. So I'm not worried if this mic goes out. I mean, one thing I've never been accused of is being quiet, so or being demure. I am blind though, so there you go. Okay, so hey, first before we get started, and to all the things, I'm not going to repeat them because we want to get through this. I am certainly not what we're here for. We're here for the folks you heard Angus talking about. So I'm going to get through this quickly. But so in addition to General Schrody, thank you always. General Rourke is around here as well. But I'm going to somebody that's been a mentor of mine and quite frankly has given me a lot of homework over the years is Lieutenant General Schuttler. Born in, how old are you now, sir? You're born in 1926. He is an amazing human being, right? Amazing. I'm the commander of one MEF. He shows up in my office and gives me, I showed Christy and my aide, gives me a notebook full of homework assignments. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so I went home that weekend and studied all of it. So General Schuttler, thank you for being here, sir. I am absolutely, it's an honor to be here with you. Okay, and so the band, all the stuff, the food was amazing. If I pass out, it's not because I drank too much, it's the food. So, and Angus, thanks for the intro. It is really an honor to be here with everybody today. An opportunity to recognize some of these really inspiring acquisition professionals who have really helped get our Corps where we are today. And although we're recognizing 4 specific individuals for their dedication and leadership, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the simple fact that every single person in this room has helped move the proverbial force design football closer to the goal line, right? Without each and every one of you, both in and out of uniform, we would not be where we are today, modernizing our Marine Corps to meet the needs of tomorrow and the operating environment that we face today. So thank all of you for what you do every single day, for bringing all the capabilities and requirements that emerge out of the force design and development work at CD&I, bringing all that to life. It's really important. And this group really is where, in a lot of ways, the rubber meets the road. And there are some things down in Quantico, whether it's CD&I in its totality as CDD and, Combat Development Directorate and Warfighting Lab, without MARCOR SysCom, it don't work, okay? And I'm going to allude to that in a little bit. I am honored to be here today, and that is a genuine sentiment because I have seen and experienced firsthand what it means to the mission to have the right folks with the right skill sets, grinding away every day, manning that oar, and ensuring our Marines are equipped to succeed and win. And nobody does that as well as MARCOR SysCom. 2,400. That is the strength of our acquisition workforce. So to some folks, that might sound like a rather large number. To the former commander of one MEF, doesn't sound like a big number at all. But to me, I know many of you wish you had one more soul there to help assist with the task at hand. With nearly 500 military and 1,900 civilians, you're the reason we are succeeding with our modernization, and we're doing it at pace. And here, if you've heard me say anything at any point, the one thing I reiterate is the one luxury we don't have, folks, is time. President Xi is outpacing us at scale, on orders of magnitude. We don't have time. And I'm old, been around a while. When I came on active duty, Ronald Reagan was president, Soviet Union was still a real thing. We're right back there, folks, if you hadn't realized that. So our adversaries aren't waiting, and so everything that this group does makes us speed up, and we got to move out, and MARCOR SysCom is doing that. I'm also a firm believer in the power of relationships. I believe that, strong relationships, increased communication, and with good communication, things just go faster. They're accomplished in more precise fashion. The bottom line is relationships matter. They matter a lot. Mike Howell taught me about 20 years ago, it ain't just all about the money. It's all about the money. And then he would say relationships, because the manpower don't flow without relationships. Relationships eliminate stovepipes. And right now, folks, as a nation, We can't afford to be operating in isolated echo chambers, particularly when you think about the geopolitical landscape we're facing today. Anyone who thought the world was becoming a safer place has certainly experienced a life-altering wake-up call over these past few months, beginning at the Beijing Olympics, like I've talked about a million times, with Putin and Xi declaring their alliance that has no limits. On the world stage, the Beijing Olympics, and their intent to end the post-World War II international rules-based order that we have supported for 75 plus years. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not exaggerating. This is real. This threat is real. The Soviet Union at its zenith was about 44% of our GDP. As we all know, China is about to surpass us. So when you think about all the elements of national power, and you think about all the elements of national power that the Chinese are wielding, just let it sink in a little bit. And now we actually know that Putin and Xi actually collaborated on Putin's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. And with the interconnectedness of the globe today, the planet as in total is at a real inflection point. And I'm convinced that we are at a critical intersection in our nation's journey. And I'm also certain we're not going to get a second chance to get this right. I've been a witness to one of the greatest examples of successes through relationships through the work of your recently retired boss and dear friend of mine, Brigadier General A.J. Pasajian, who is why I'm here today, and the rest of the three amigos, Major General Smash Austin at CDD, Major General Ben Watson at McWill. And unfortunately, they're all three turning over this summer. But we got great people coming in behind them. Angus is already in place. We got Kyle Ellison stepping in behind Ben Watson, and we got Beast Lightfoot stepping into CDD. But I'll tell you, the other part of this is PEO Land System. They've been there. That was one of the first guys that came and gave me a brief. So it really is magic that what happens down in Quantico. And I've seen open and honest communication break down barriers, grease the proverbial skids, and overcome challenges. Not that any of those gentlemen need me up here touting their successes, but I've been impressed since day one with their ability to translate outcomes and data sets into action. And I look forward to continuing this trajectory alongside Brigadier General Angus Walsh. I really do. And like you said, we've known each other forever. You were a Huey guy, right? I did that on purpose. And this credit also belongs to you, everybody in this room. Being able to reach back to the capabilities and requirements officers to determine exactly what it is that we need to succeed. It is relationships that you've built and maintained that have led to almost 4,000 contracting actions since Force Design 2030 was released in the spring of 2030. Nearly 4,000 contracting actions. You got to just let that sink in a little bit. You're responsible for approximately $3.5 billion in obligations since March 2020. That's a 20% increase since FY19. We are where we are today because of you and your dedicated work. So, as I'm sure this crowd knows, over the past 2 years, the Marine Corps has made an assertive and aggressive shift back to our naval amphibious roots. When most of us came on active duty, we were a fleet Marine Force, and somewhere we lost our way, we went away from it. Now we're back again, which is a good thing, but we've made an aggressive shift back. The Commandant and several of his predecessors acknowledged that the Marine Corps was not organized, trained, or equipped for the emerging threat and the new operating environment. And for everyone, I don't have to tell this group, that's a powerful admission for a warfighting organization that prides itself on being prepared to accomplish any mission, anywhere, anytime. But it's true. It started with Joe Dunford. We began force design activities focused on adapting capabilities to properly shape the Marine Corps' contribution to the Naval Expeditionary Force and the Joint Force writ large. We are creating a modernized design that incorporates emerging technologies, which is clearly y'all's lane, and changes in force structure to deliver a Marine Corps the nation needs and demands. As a combined joint force, we must gain and maintain the competitive edge against the rapid advances of our peer adversaries, most notably the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, you're going to notice something about me. I don't like calling them the PRC. There is no, everybody know what the word republic means? Look it up. Y'all got phones, it's worth a Google. Republic, representative of the people. What the hell is representative about the Chinese Communist Party? So we need to call them what they are. They're just a bunch of filthy communists. That's what we're dealing with. Clearly, China's the pacing threat, and not because we seek conflict. We don't seek conflict with anybody, but we're damn sure prepared to do it. We don't seek conflict, but because their military has set a pace of technological and military development that simply cannot be ignored. Oh, and by the way, this little side note, because the damn NDS of the previous administration and the current directs us to. Last time I checked, Marines follow orders, right? National defense strategies, an order. I'm doing my best not to drop an F-bomb here because I get in trouble. So, and I know there's kids here, so I'm trying to be good. So, but it seems pretty clear. I don't know why anybody would question what we're doing. Read the National Defense Strategy. To do this, we are focusing our activities on expeditionary warfare in actively contested spaces. And I wish I could go like fully informed Sap Stowe on you guys, because I'd blow your minds. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, and Angus is not in the vertical because he knows. A lot of what the Commandant has done now almost seems prescient. Like, I'm like, was he going home at night like breaking out a Ouija board? It's good. Force design is focused on our contribution to the joint and partnered force. Partners are absolutely critical. You know, Mattis is the one that said we're never going to go to war alone again. And one of the, and I'm going to get on this a little bit, but I'm going to jump ahead. We've done 36 integrated planning teams, 36. A recurring question or theme throughout all of this during force design has been, what can we do to enable the fleet and joint force commander? So I will tell you, when I was 1MEF, and we're reviewing our O plans to deal with a bunch of filthy communists, and I had Billy Murs dial in, who was at the time 7th Fleet, and I adore the ground Admiral Billy Murs walks on. And at the end of about a 2.5-hour session, I looked at him and I go, and I had my whole OPT in there. And I said, Billy, what is it you need 1MEF? You know, the 50,000 man and woman MEF to do. And he looked at me and goes, I need you to shut down the Philippines. Okay, let me crack open my MacArthur, but okay. So bottom line, enabling the fleet commanders is number one. We're a fleet Marine force. But we also understand, and I think our Commandant understands better than most how we fit into the joint force. He really gets it. So when he sees duplicity that is expensive, costly, burdensome, he gets rid of it. And that's what he's done. And of course, as our nation expects, the Marine Corps, when partnered with our Navy brothers and sisters, are uniquely capable of expeditionary and amphibious operations. We've all been doing this our whole life, right? I grew up on the flat top of amphibs, LPHs, LHAs. I never got on one of those cool new things called LHDs. To be clear, this has not been our focus for the last 2 decades plus. We were needed for the fight in the Middle East, which demanded a force optimized for sustained operations ashore. And many of you were responsible for getting us what we needed during this time, and we are eternally grateful. There's a lot of folks in this room that probably directly saved lives, and that's no joke. Obviously, we answered our nation's call, as we always will. One of my favorite quotes from General Mattis, he's got many of them. I love the one where he said, for we serve in a corps with no institutional confusion about our purpose, to fight well. And that's what we always do. Doesn't matter what the circumstance, we will fight and fight well. But now we face a peer adversary with global reach and influence, with new and more advanced multi-domain capabilities. The only conclusion is to adapt or die. The future Fleet Marine Force requires a transformation, a modernization, with a focus on new, organic, all things organic, and that doesn't mean like grown in your backyard, organic, capabilities that will allow the Navy and the Marine Corps to restore the strategic initiative and to define the future of maritime conflict by capitalizing on new capabilities to first deter and compete, deter conflict, and if that fails, to dominate inside our enemy's weapons engagement zone and enable the joint and partnered force. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're doing it in a big, bad way. Again, wish I could go all Sap Stowe on you guys, but I can't. All of these changes support the Naval Expeditionary Force and the joint and partnered force in all domains, inside and outside the first island chain. I am confident that the substance of our redesign efforts, as well as our pace, will impose costs on potential adversaries across the spectrum of active campaigning, integrated deterrence, and when required, conflict, and we will win. Everything I just talked about has not been done in isolation. We're not just throwing random ideas at the wall to see what sticks. The Marine Corps, and again, I'm kind of shooting on some of the critics that we've all read about lately, and here's what I'm going to tell you. Anybody wants to challenge me, please come. That kind of stuff is helpful. And you're entitled to your own opinion. What you're not entitled to are your own facts. My mama taught me in Stone Mountain, Georgia, that's just lying, right? So you're entitled to your opinion. You are not entitled to your own facts. The Marine Corps has taken a very deliberative approach to this modernization, an evidence-based approach centered on a campaign of learning. I heard one of our critics joke at a panel about, what is this campaign of learning? When I got into the job, I walked into the back closet of my office and pulled out one of these big, gigantic folder things, and there it is. General Walsh, not you, the one that had 3 stars, and General Gluck. So we're talking back a long, long time ago, talking about the campaign of learning. So if you would listen to some of the detractors of force design, you'd think we just made this thing up. Misleading at best, lying at worst, you decide. An evidence-based approach centered on the campaign of learning, a cycle of research, if you will. I also have an operations analysis directorate filled with eggheads, right? No rice bowls. The deep analysis of problem sets allowed for informed decision-making. And to give you an idea of what I mean, I mentioned this earlier. This is where I told you I jumped ahead. We have conducted 36 integrated planning teams thus far. Deliberate planning efforts that gather subject matter experts from across enterprise, most heavily from the fleet. As a matter of fact, 90% of the time, the IPT leads are from the fleet. We conducted 18 experiments led by the Marine Corps Warfighting Lab, aimed at gathering data and feedback. We've conducted over 30 war games. In conjunction with these war games is extensive modeling and simulation, where we can run thousands, literally thousands upon thousands of cycles, while controlling inputs and variables to produce seeds for follow-on efforts and analysis. The Operations Analysis Director I just mentioned ago has conducted over 23 studies and analysis directly associated with force design, helping us to form the campaign of learning that force design is centered around. Does that sound like lacking analytical rigor to anybody? And yet that's one of the major assertions made by some of the detractors. $3.5 billion of obligations by your community. I think Mike Howe told me that, do you know what $1 billion is? It's like $1,600 a day since Christ was born. He said that to me as a major. I'm like, that's too big to fit in my head. I'm just an accounting major from Georgia. It does not compute. Think about that. Just in the last 2 years, you've been directly responsible for countless accomplishments. I'm going to name a few. This isn't even close. I actually made a list. Conducted multiple, even as recently as this past April, successful live fire shots of Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, the anti-ship capability from a remotely operated ground launcher. One of these shots, back in August of 21, was the first time in over 60 years the USMC, the Marine Corps, and the Don engaged a ship with a ground-based weapon system. In support of Force Design 2030, Marine Corps Syscom divested of legacy equipment, tanks, in order to invest in equipment modernization. The amphibious combat vehicle reached full rate production and initial operating capability. The ACV replaces the amphibious assault vehicle with a modern wheeled variant that supports ship-to-objective maneuver, provides unrivaled protected mobility to embarked infantry, and will in the future deliver precision support by fire effects for dismounted infantry in the attack. Third Tracks received these while I was 1MEF. The Marines loved them. I spent countless hours on White and Red Beach. They loved them. One Marine loved it so much, he had a broom, and he was keeping the ramp clean. I'm like, that's just a little bit ridiculous. This is a beach. These are Marines. It's going to get filthy. Program Manager Training Systems secured the command's first ever acquisition pathway designation for the live virtual constructive training environment. Modernized infantry weapon systems, something AJ loves to talk about, and combat devices. Everything from M27 automatic infantry automatic rifle, suppressors, squad bino MVGs, Gen 3 plate carriers, to high-cut enhanced combat helmets. The Marine Corps' largest infantry weapons modernization in over 25 years. That alone is phenomenal. Chief of Naval Research, designated Marine Corps Tactical System Support Activity as a technical activity in the summer of 2021, authorizing METISA to engage with industry and educational institutions for technology transfer activities and opportunities. Program Manager, Ground-Based Air Defense, PMG badge, successfully tested medium-range intercept capability prototype. We broke ground on the Marine Corps Wargaming and Analysis Center, the MCWAC. We've got to find a better name. It's just not working for me. Which will provide next-generation technologies to help Marines better visualize the threat environment and maintain competitive advantages over adversaries. These are just a few of the major accomplishments that MARCOR, SysCom, and the acquisition community writ large are responsible for. Just a few of the thousands of reasons why we are so proud of you and the work you have done. And that's why I'm so honored to be here tonight. Even during a time of chaos due to COVID restrictions and unknowns, you all understood the mission and found a way to get it done. So in 2020, our Commandant laid down a very clear vision of where we needed to go as a Marine Corps. But he also challenged us to make that vision better, to analyze the vision and figure out if it would work and how it would work. General Berger empowered us to question everything, and he still does. So again, to the detractors, not listening to anybody. Really biting my tongue, right? We changed the VMM route. We're changing the size of the infantry battalions. We've kept artillery. I mean, what else do you need? Again, you're entitled to your own opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. And it's innocently misleading at best. And it's just bold-faced lying at worst. So he still does challenge us, and he does it all the time. Trust me, it happens. Every time I look up at my Tamberg and I see CMC desktop, that's a Tamberg I'm answering. Due to the efforts associated with our campaign of learning, the constant examination and re-examination of the data as it continues cycling through, we have made changes to some of our initial assumptions, and we have also altered and changed course in a few areas based on the evidence and the analysis of the data. And we will continue to re-examine the evidence as the cycle of research dictates. Feedback from the fleet, changes in technology, actions of the adversary, any input you can think of goes back into the modeling and simulation, the war games, the experimentation, which allows us to validate past decisions, make adjustments if necessary, and inform future decisions. It's possible that outcomes from these events might change the direction of a program. If that happens, I ask that you remain flexible, but also driven, as you always have been, even when potentially weeks worth of work becomes irrelevant because of a change in direction. Stay the course. We need you focused on the future, but we must move out. We can't delay. Our standard way of doing things in the past simply won't work. The campaign of learning that encompasses Force Design 2030 doesn't stop, and it won't stop in 8 years at 2030. In fact, I'm not sure it will ever stop, which is a problem. I have got to get some things fixed. So, as I've said before, 2030 is not a waypoint, it's a destination. The Marine Corps, just as any institution, whether it's a business, government, educational, whatever it may be, must modernize as technology and the operating environment change. As the saying goes, it won't be the strongest, it won't be the fastest, and it probably won't be the smartest that survives. It's the one that can adapt. Having the right people and the right jobs is critical to success. You are critical to the success of this organization, and particularly of Force Design. Expanding collaboration and cooperation, building upon the foundation of our relationships will make us stronger. So to wrap it up, as we continue down this iterative Force Design road, we will make changes along the way, evidence-based changes, underpinned by the analytical rigor of the campaign of learning. If we don't make changes, then we aren't probably collecting the right or enough data. If we don't make changes, we aren't critically thinking about the results of the studies or the evidence presented. We will continue to adapt to the fluid and increasingly competitive operating environment because it's only getting more competitive and more dangerous. Changes in technology, feedback from the fleet and industry, and expertise from people like you will help create the force our nation needs and demands. Over the next few years, the Marine Corps will continue improving service capabilities and lethality for integrated deterrence, active campaigning, competition, and yes, when necessary, conflict. Force design will allow the Navy and the Marine Corps team to restore the strategic initiative, define the future of maritime conflict, and dominate inside our enemy's weapons engagement zone. We are a learning organization. We are constantly analyzing data and sifting through information. Part of learning is listening to feedback, both positive and negative. It makes us better. And that's why I encourage you to bring it on. It's only going to make us, and we are not afraid to fail at all. We are not afraid to fail. It will make us better. The channels for communication between our commands are open, between all the three amigos. Keep them open and keep talking. Keep building those relationships. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this evening, a time to celebrate what may often feel like a thankless job that we take for granted. Thank you for making our vision a reality. Thank you for translating the requirements and needs and the true capabilities that we need. Thank you for everything that you do every single day. And now let's get on with doing some awards, shall we?